I always thought marriage would be like running a small, emotional business. You invest, you balance the budget, and you try not to go bankrupt every time there's a storm. I married Charlotte 6 years ago. Smart, sharp-tongued, sweet when she wants to be. She's the kind of woman who can make a guy feel like he just got knighted for handing her the remote. We live in Woodbury, Minnesota. Not too exciting. But hey, there's a Target 5 minutes away, so that checks the basic boxes. I work in IT for a logistics company. Nothing glamorous, but I get to work from home and wear socks to meetings. Charlotte works for an interior design firm that she's been gushing about since her internship days. Gabriel, if you could just see what we did to that kitchen in Edina. Yeah, I heard all about it. 3 months ago, I started feeling like I was living with a rental version of my wife. Same voice, same eyes, but different bandwidth. You ever walk into a room and suddenly she stops texting? Or how she laughs a little too hard when she's not with you? That was Charlotte lately. She wasn't mean. She wasn't cruel. Just tuned out. At first, I thought maybe it was burnout. Long hours, demanding clients, normal life stuff. But she kept brushing me off, and not in the "I'm tired tonight" kind of way. More like, "Oh, I thought I told you I had that event tonight," except I'd never even heard of this supposed event. Then she'd rush out with makeup too perfect for a networking mixer. One day, I made a joke. "Who's the lucky client getting all that eyeliner attention tonight?" She didn't even laugh. Just blinked, smiled that tight little smile, and said, "Don't wait up." It was subtle. Everything was. Like watching a plant die, one invisible root at a time. I started paying attention. That's what I do. I'm not the blow up and snoop through your phone kind of guy. But I'm not a moron either. I watched. I counted. Patterns. Charlotte got more vague with time, more polished going out, less present coming back. She started working late more often. And on weekends? "Oh, I've got a staging in Wyzetta. Might run long." She'd leave in jeans and come back looking like she just stepped out of a lifestyle blog. I asked her if everything was okay. She said yes, too fast, too bright. Like I was the one being dramatic. But here's the part that really got me. She didn't even seem interested in pretending anymore. The excuses got lazy. The affection dropped like a forgotten to-do list. Even the way she kissed me, it was like kissing a voicemail. Empty, automated, and recorded for someone else. Now, let me be clear, I wasn't desperate. I wasn't jealous. I was something worse, curious. And curiosity, my friend, is what leads you into rabbit holes you didn't know were dug right under your own living room floor. I started doing something I hadn't done in our whole marriage. I paid attention to the boring details. What days she refilled gas, where she said she went, how long it took, what she wore. I started logging it all, dates, times, outfits, receipts. I know how that sounds, but I promise you, once you feel like the person you married is performing in front of you, you become the audience and the detective. I wasn't planning on confronting her yet. Not until I had something. Something solid. Not just vibes and missing hugs. I needed the brick, not the smoke. So I waited. I didn't dig through her phone. I didn't follow her. I didn't even tell my friends. I just waited. And here's the thing no one ever tells you about betrayal. It's patient. It doesn't rush. It lets you stew. It waits for the moment when your guard is halfway down and your hope is halfway up. And then it kicks the door in. So yeah, I had no proof. Not yet. But I knew, deep in my bones, something was coming. The only question was, when? And whether I'd be ready when it did. I'm a spreadsheet guy. Always have been. Not the color-coded kind with little emojis in the headers. No, mine are bare bones, functional, brutal little ledgers of life. I keep one for bills, one for taxes, one for car maintenance, and one I call joint planning, where Charlotte and I track anything we share. Grocery lists, weekend plans, contractor contacts, the mundane stuff that makes up a life. And that's where it started. Charlotte had access to it. We both did. But she hadn't touched it in months. Not since early January when she logged a note for paint samples for the mudroom. After that, radio silence. Then 2 Thursdays ago, while I was updating a line item for some backyard lights I'd installed, I noticed something strange in the document history. Google Sheets, bless its nosy little heart, shows you every edit ever made, down to the minute. And there it was. Last Thursday night, 11:12 p.m., Charlotte had opened the spreadsheet. Didn't edit anything. Just opened it. That wouldn't mean much to most people. But that same night, she'd told me she was too tired to watch our show. Claimed she was asleep by 10. Lights off. Out cold. Yet there she was, an hour later, pulling up a spreadsheet labeled Joint Planning. Curious, I clicked into the history and scanned for what cell she hovered over. G7. G7 is labeled Weekend Travel/Gas/Route. We used it for planning our occasional cabin getaways. I hadn't logged anything in there since October. So what was she looking at? I didn't ask her about it. I waited. Then the following Monday, I saw the same thing. She opened the spreadsheet again at 10:48 p.m. cell G7. Now my brain was buzzing. Why open that tab, and only that tab, twice in the same week? So I created a duplicate sheet and inserted a formula. A script, actually. Every time someone opened the file and hovered over cell G7, the new version would ping me with the IP address and device type. Just a little harmless data trail. Not invasive. Just informative. That Friday, at exactly 11:21 p.m., the ping hit. IP 173.226.81.122. Device, iPhone 13. Location, Maple Grove. Here's the kicker. Charlotte had told me she was spending Friday night in Minnetonka, helping her coworker Avery stage a luxury condo. She even sent a photo of a granite countertop and said, "Not my style, but they love it." Except, Maple Grove is in the opposite direction. And she wasn't using her work laptop, either. She was using her personal phone. Still, this wasn't proof. It was breadcrumbs. But I was following them. Saturday morning, I opened her shared with me folder on Google Drive, the one where we kept some scanned receipts from furniture deliveries. She didn't know I still had access. Inside was a new PDF, titled April_invoice_client list, which seemed like standard work stuff. Except it wasn't. It was blank. I mean it. The document looked like an invoice, but every field was empty. No names. No totals. Just a header and some formatting. I downloaded it, opened the file properties, and checked the metadata. Created by user E.Teller. Now listen, I don't know an E.Teller. But Charlotte does. Ethan Teller is the guy she used to work with. Quit the firm 2 years ago. Got into real estate. Last I heard, he was flipping high-end homes and dating yoga instructors named Kira. We had dinner with him once. Seemed nice. Charismatic in that fake deep way. Lots of smirking and just vibing kind of talk. Didn't care for him. So why was Charlotte logged into her work account, creating blank invoices from Ethan Teller's computer? Unless she was with him. And why fake an invoice? Unless you needed a reason for having been at his place. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I made one last move. I created a new spreadsheet. Looked exactly like the original. Same name. Same contents. But this one had a tiny addition. Cell G7 now had a hidden note. If you hovered over it, the note said, "Hey Charlotte, just curious, what's in Maple Grove?" And then I waited. Sunday night, 10:57 p.m. Ping. Device, iPhone 13. IP, 173.226.81.122. Location, Maple Grove. Hover, G7. Duration, 19 seconds. She never said a word. Not that night. Not the next morning. But her behavior changed. That forced cheerfulness? Gone. The performative smiles. Stripped down to silence. She knew. She knew I knew. And I knew that whatever this was, whatever she'd let herself believe it wasn't just a fling. It was layered. Prepped. Defended. She was still seeing someone, but not just casually. She had mapped it. Scheduled it. Protected it with documents, lies, and silence. And now, so was I? I didn't rage. I didn't fall apart. I just prepared. Because when a marriage is this calculated, the response better be, too. The funny thing about catching someone in a lie is you start seeing them like a stage actor. Every line feels rehearsed. Every smile looks borrowed. Once you've seen the strings, the puppet show's never quite the same. By the time Monday rolled around, I wasn't wondering if Charlotte was cheating. I knew. I had enough clues to write a TED Talk. The spreadsheet breadcrumb, the fake invoice metadata, the hidden hover message in G7, and that ping from Maple Grove? That was the curtain drop. But I wasn't going to throw it in her face. Nah, that's too easy. Too emotional. Too expected. She deserved something cleaner. Something that would stick in her ribs the way her silence had stuck in mine. So I made a plan. First thing I did was make a copy of that fake invoice. Then I printed it, highlighting the metadata with a red Sharpie, created by E.Teller. Taped that to a piece of cardstock like I was prepping for a presentation. I also printed the ping log from the spreadsheet script, with the timestamp, IP address, and location. And then I waited for Thursday night. Thursday was our dinner night. Every week, we'd make something simple, sit down at the table, and pretend we still liked the same TV shows. It had become a performance, but I needed that stage. I made pasta. Nothing fancy. She walked in, still in heels, still in that navy blazer she saves for clients she wants to impress. She dropped her purse, gave me a quick smile, and said, "Smells amazing." Yeah, so did the lie. We sat down. I poured wine, hers half full, mine untouched. She started talking about a frustrating client who couldn't pick a backsplash. I nodded along, even made a joke about how indecision was basically a design aesthetic now. Then I slid the manila envelope across the table. She blinked. "What's this?" "Client feedback," I said, sipping water. She opened it. 2 sheets of paper. That was it. She didn't react at first, just stared at the printout with the fake invoice. Then the metadata. Then the spreadsheet ping log. She didn't speak, didn't blink, just froze. "Ethan's computer?" I said, voice calm, casual. "That's an interesting place to log into your firm's drive, especially when you're supposed to be in Minnetonka." She looked up like I'd just read her eulogy. What is this?" "It's exactly what it looks like, Charlotte." Gabriel, this is crazy. This is work stuff." "Sure," I said, setting down my fork. "Except it's not. You didn't create an invoice. You created a blank document from a real estate broker's machine while claiming to be at a design job. You also logged into our spreadsheet and hovered over the same cell you lied about checking weeks ago. From Maple Grove. At 11:21 p.m. She finally spoke. "You're tracking me?" "Nope. Just watching. You gave me a front row seat." Her lips parted like she was going to explain, but nothing came out. "This isn't a fight, Charlotte. I'm not here to scream or cry or beg you to tell me why. That ship left port weeks ago. I'm here to tell you, I know." She looked like she was trying to calculate how mad she should be. But there was no angle, no foothold. I'd beat her to the punch and disarmed the weapon. "You had options," I said, standing. "You could have talked to me. Could have said something wasn't working. Could have told the truth. But instead you weaponized silence. And lies. And you made me feel crazy for noticing." "I didn't," she started. "Don't," I said, holding up a hand. "Don't insult both of us with the 'I didn't mean to' routine. You knew what you were doing. You just didn't think I'd see it." She was shaking now. Not sobbing. Not apologizing. Just shaking. I walked to the counter, pulled out a second envelope, and placed it beside her wine glass. Inside, a lease agreement. Not for her. For me. I signed on an apartment downtown. Month to month. Starting Monday. She stared at it, her voice barely a whisper. "You're leaving?" "No," I said, grabbing my keys. "I already left." Then I walked out. Quiet. Steady. No slamming doors, no dramatic pauses. Just the sound of my shoes on the hardwood floor and her world unraveling behind me. The apartment was quiet. 1 bedroom, concrete floors, walls the color of dishwater, but it was mine. And it was clean. Clean of her voice, her perfume, her lies. I unpacked a bag, opened a beer, and stared at my phone for 20 minutes. No texts. No missed calls. Charlotte was either stunned into silence or calculating her next move. Either way, I didn't care. I wasn't interested in a fight. I was interested in the fallout. You see, revenge isn't about pain. Not really. It's about control. About resetting the narrative. She tried to rewrite our marriage in secret. My turn. So I started with the calendar. Charlotte was organizing a client appreciation brunch the following Saturday. Big deal. Tons of people. Real estate partners. Local influencers. She'd been planning it for 2 months, talking about florals and elevated finger food, like she was curating the Oscars. The guest list lived in our shared Google Calendar, the one she forgot I still had access to. I didn't cancel anything. Didn't hack her email or sabotage the RSVPs. I just made one change. Under Charlotte's client brunch, I added a guest, Ethan Teller. No email. Just the name. Right there, visible to anyone she shared the calendar with. Why? Because Charlotte's boss was one of them. Then I went one step further. I took a photo of the fake invoice she'd made from Ethan's computer, the one with client, blank, and the creation stamp, and I dropped it into a folder I named Brunch Visuals. Again, shared to the team drive she used for event assets. You could almost hear the click when she finally opened it. Within 24 hours, I got a call from our mutual friend Denise. Well, her friend, really, but I'd known her longer. Denise worked with Charlotte at the firm, part-time, handling client contracts. She wasn't nosy, but she had instincts. Her voicemail said it all. Hey Gabe, not sure what's going on, but I think you should know your name's coming up around the office. Something about a calendar, and Charlotte's not exactly keeping it together. Anyway, hope you're doing okay. I was doing great, but it wasn't enough to just rattle her at work. Charlotte thrived on image, not status exactly, but perception. Her thing was crafting aesthetics, living a Pinterest-perfect life. She curated every square inch of her Instagram like it was an ad campaign. Her following wasn't huge, but it was full of people she needed to think she had it all together. Marriage, career, elegance, the whole thing. So I gave her exactly that, with a twist. I posted a photo. It was a picture of a spreadsheet. Not the actual one. Just a template I mocked up that looked eerily similar. Clean columns, innocent headers like shared mileage and home projects. Nothing incriminating. Nothing explicit. The caption read, "Funny how you can look at something every day and still miss what's right in front of you. Lesson learned. Onward." That was it. Within 5 minutes, Charlotte viewed it. Within 30, I was blocked. By nightfall, 3 of her closest friends had followed me. Revenge wasn't about turning people against her. It was about shifting the ground she walked on, letting her wonder, who knows? How much? Who saw what? And then came the final stroke. 2 weeks later, I mailed her something. Not a letter, not keys, just an empty picture frame. Inside the frame was a printed version of our calendar from the month I left. All the events still listed. All the fake client meetings. All the days marked WFH, late call. At the bottom, I added a sticky note. Figured you might want to hang this. It's the only thing from that month that was real. She didn't respond, but I know she got it. Because 2 hours later, Denise texted me again. Whatever you sent her. She's been in the break room, crying for an hour. Just thought you should know. I didn't reply. That was never the point. Some people burn your house down. Others just take the roof off and let you sit in the rain. I preferred the latter. She texted me first. Can we talk? Just one last time. The phrasing told me everything. She wasn't asking to fix it. She wasn't groveling. She just wanted something that felt like control back, some kind of punctuation at the end of the sentence I'd already finished writing. I didn't respond right away. Took a walk. Sat on a bench outside the little bakery where we used to get coffee on Sundays, back when she still laughed without checking her phone mid-giggle. Eventually, I wrote back. Tomorrow, noon. The patio at Dempsey's. You pick up the check. 12 o'clock, I was already there. Dempsey's is one of those places that thinks mason jars are personality. I picked it on purpose. Too public for a scene, too casual for closure speeches. I sat outside, facing the parking lot, sipping iced tea I didn't want. Charlotte walked up at 12:06. Hair too perfect. Neutral trench coat. Minimal makeup, which meant maximum effort to look low-key. She sat across from me without saying hello. Her eyes were tired. Not red. Just dulled out. Like someone who hadn't slept or smiled for reasons that were actually sincere. I let the silence sit. She finally spoke. You really did all that? I didn't blink. All what? The spreadsheet. The IP tracker. The fake frame. I leaned back. None of it was fake. You logged into a cell. That's not fiction. That's math. She folded her hands on the table like we were in a meeting. I didn't think you'd notice. That almost made me laugh. You didn't think I'd notice that the person I lived with changed their entire rhythm like a new season of TV? Come on. Charlotte swallowed. I didn't think you'd care enough to look that hard. That stopped me. Because it was honest. Sad, but honest. That's the part you never got, I said. The silence wasn't because I didn't care. It was because I did. If I didn't, I'd have walked out 6 months ago and left a post-it on the microwave. She looked down. I didn't want to hurt you. That's funny, I said. Because you did. Every day? Not with Ethan. That was just a symptom. You hurt me when you stopped talking. When you started living like I was a roommate you pitted. She nodded. Slowly. Like she was chewing glass. I kept thinking it was a phase, I continued. That you were tired. Burned out. But then the lies got lazy. You got lazy. And that's when I realized you didn't fall in love with someone else. You just stopped believing I was worth telling the truth to. I didn't stop loving you, she said quietly. I think you did, I said. And I think you just didn't want to admit it. She didn't deny it. Just sat there, looking out at the parking lot like maybe there was a timeline out there where none of this happened. Do you still love me? She asked. I let that sit. Do I? No, not anymore. But I remember what it felt like to. And that feeling deserved better than what she gave it. No, I said. But I don't hate you either. That's what makes this worse. She nodded like she already knew that answer. Ethan ended things, she said, eyes on the table. He didn't want anything serious. I thought. I cut her off. Don't give me the Hallmark arc. You didn't get cheated on, Charlotte. You made a choice and got a result. I know. Good. Because I'm not here for apologies. I'm here so we don't have to do this again. No drawn-out drama. No mutual friends playing messenger. No late-night texts when something reminds you of the time we went to the lake. It's over. And I need you to live with that. She blinked hard. I already do. We sat there, not talking, while the waitress dropped the check. Charlotte reached for it, didn't even flinch at the total. As she stood, she hesitated. You were always better than I deserved. No, I said, standing too. I was just real. That's all. And you weren't. She nodded, stepped back, and started to leave, but paused again. One more thing, she said. The picture frame. The calendar, why? I looked her dead in the eye. Because I wanted you to hang it somewhere you could see it every day. A reminder that even when you were lying, I was still watching. Still right there. Loving you. Paying attention. And you chose someone who didn't even know your coffee order. And then I walked out. 3 months after that last conversation, Charlotte texted me a photo of our old toaster. I'm not kidding. The caption just said, "Found this in the back of the cabinet. Thought you might want it." It was the dumbest excuse for contact I'd ever seen. I didn't respond. I didn't want the toaster. I wanted peace. And I was finally starting to get it. The apartment's still small. I kept it. Never bothered shopping for a couch. I bought one secondhand off a guy who used to do stand-up in Des Moines. The thing's ugly but weirdly comfortable, and it doesn't judge me when I fall asleep watching baseball at 11 p.m. That first month alone felt like learning to walk again. There's something surreal about living without someone after years of sharing drawer space and calendars and toothpaste. You start talking out loud to yourself, narrating, like a bad indie film character. All right, Gabriel, laundry today, or just buy more socks? Every now and then I'd forget she was gone. I'd reach for 2 mugs instead of 1. I'd turn to make a comment during a commercial and realize the person I used to talk to wasn't on the couch anymore. She was across town, probably rearranging throw pillows for someone who thinks deception is just part of the grind. I didn't stalk her online. I didn't block her either, but I muted everything. No posts, no stories. No temptations to spiral into emotional archaeology. The biggest change? Silence became peace instead of punishment. Back when we were together, her silence was a weapon. It made me feel small, suspicious, guilty for noticing the cracks. But alone, silence was finally honest. It didn't pretend to be anything. It just sat there. Neutral. Real. I went back to running. Not for health or fitness, just to breathe. Just to feel my feet hit pavement and know that I was the only one steering my body, my day, my life. I'd jog past families and couples and guys walking their dogs and feel nothing. Not envy. Not anger. Just space. One Saturday, I passed a farmer's market, the same one Charlotte used to drag me to. I'd roll my eyes while she sampled overpriced peaches and pretended to care about artisan chutneys. This time, I walked through it alone. And I liked it. I didn't buy peaches. I didn't even pretend to like chutney. But I stood in the middle of that crowd, breathing in the smells of food I didn't need, listening to conversations I wasn't part of, and I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Nothing pressing against me. No pressure to perform. No need to shrink myself to keep someone comfortable. No pretending to be chill while my gut screamed that something was off. Just me, finally whole in my own damn space. I started writing again. Not novels or poetry or whatever people imagine when they say that. Just notes. Observations. Little scraps of thought dumped into a folder on my laptop called Aftermath. No one's gonna read it. No one's supposed to. It's just proof that I lived through it and stayed awake the whole time. Friends asked if I'd date again. I said maybe, but not now. Because here's the truth no one talks about. It's not that I don't want love. I just don't want to waste another year explaining basic decency to someone who thinks vulnerability is a weakness and honesty means as long as you don't get caught. You get to a point where your peace is worth more than someone's company. And that's the price I paid for learning. I did run into Charlotte once, by accident. Target, of all places. She was walking out of the home goods section with a basket full of candles and a new breed of filter. I was walking in for laundry detergent and Q-tips. We locked eyes. She gave me a small smile. I didn't return it. Not out of spite. Just clarity. That smile wasn't mine anymore. I wasn't obligated to make her feel better. I owed her nothing. Not grace, not anger, not closure. She walked by. I kept going. Bought my detergent. Went home. Did laundry. That night, I slept like a stone. No dreams. No tossing. Just the rhythm of a life rebuilt from the truth outwards. No performance. No pretend. Just me. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough. Subscribe to the channel